Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insights through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, where real stories ignite transformation. Today's guest is Wendy Valentine, who is the author of Women Waking Up, the Midlife Manifesto for Passion, Purpose, and Play, and host of the top-rated Midlife Makeover Show podcast. Once crying on the bathroom floor, Wendy transformed her life, trading fear for freedom and turning midlife into a powerful awakening. Now she helps women ditch their doubts, reignite their spark, and wake up to what's truly possible. Get ready for an honest, bold, and joy-filled conversation about change, courage, and claiming your next chapter. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you, Summer. It's great to be here. I was thinking with our names, we're a Wendy Summer.
We are Wendy Summer.
We're a Wendy Summer over here.
I love it.
It's
And I
great
love
to
the wind. I had a dog that just passed away, and I used to call her my wind girl because she was a chow and she had beautiful hair, and we would stand there and her hair would just flutter in the wind. And I was like, oh,
and
so I
they're so
love that.
fluffy.
Yes, she was so fluffy and so sweet. So
Aw.
before we dive into your professional journey, if you could describe your life to this point in one word, what would that word be, and why is that word important to you?
Awakened.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah. I would say majority of my life, I was sleepwalking. And it wasn't until a few years ago where I did have to wake up. Of course, that's, kind of goes along with the title of the book.
Yeah.
Not just women waking up, it was Wendy waking up. But I had to become more conscious of who I was being in my life, what I was doing, why I was making the choices I was making. I think before I was on autopilot. I was just going through the motions in my life and checking off all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
Kids, career, marriage, house in the burbs, doing all the things because that's what I thought I'm supposed to do. And not that I, regret any of that. It's all amazing. But once I was achieving all of those things, I was just on autopilot. I wasn't awake. I wasn't awakened to my greatest potential. I wasn't using my gifts, my talents, my strengths, none of that. And it wasn't until everything crumbled that I was like, oh, I had to rebuild. And a lot of it wasn't so much learning anything new, it was the unlearning.
Ooh.
It was the chipping away at the things that were not me. And that was really how I woke up to my greatest potential. There's that Michelangelo quote about the statue of David when they asked him, how did you carve the statue of David? And he said, I just chipped away at everything that was not him. And that's really what it is. Like we get to a point in our lives, I think mostly at midlife in our 40s and 50s, when the rules and the roles and the expectations are changing, whether we like it or not, they're just changing. And yeah, we have to ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? Like we really, truly do need to be asking ourselves those questions instead of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I think
Our best digital friend.
My ChatGPT, it's Emily. That's her
Emily.
name. I'm like, Emily, I need some help. Yeah. But I mean, really, like you think about it, like we have our own inner ChatGPT or guru, right? And we do need to be asking those questions to ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes like the truth hurts though too. I hit 45 and I went through divorce, disease. I had chronic illness of black mold toxicity, Lyme disease, good old menopause, unemployed. I was 150 grand in debt. And within a 6-week period, my dog died, my cat died, and then my brother died. So needless to say, I was depressed. I had anxiety. I was suffering from panic attacks after witnessing my brother's death. So I was a hot mess. And I came to this crossroads of like, all right, girl, like having those hard conversations with myself. And it's like, all right, you're either going to allow yourself and your life to continue to spiral downwards, or you can make the choice to rebuild it and to just reconstruct a new life for yourself. And I had this dream. It was actually this just like out of the blue vision that popped in my mind, lying on the bathroom floor, crying my eyes. Like, why do women always do that? Why are we always like laying on the bathroom floor? I hear
Because
that
it's a
story a
quiet
lot.
space, and I think it's cool, it's quiet, and it's somewhere where you can get away from people,
Yes,
right?
and the tile is cold, which is great for the hot flash.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I just feel so good. I'm just gonna
And who wants to go into the bathroom? So
I know,
you have the
exactly.
privacy there, right? So before you go on, I want to take a
Good.
step back here. There's a few questions I have for you because you were going through so much in such a short period of time, the
Mm.
heartbreak, the healing, the loss, all these things. And yet you talked about becoming more conscious, right?
Yes.
Becoming more aware, tapping into that, having a heart to heart with yourself, so to speak. And we can say those things because, yes, we've been conditioned, but talk about that heartbreak to healing. Talk about how you became more enlightened, those things that you did that brought you through those challenges. Talk about that.
You know, well, I was even sleepwalking through the challenges too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I think once everything really hit its peak, being alone with yourself, with your thoughts can be scary, like it's like the dark night of the soul. But it's also a great time to really listen. And that was the scary part for me because I listened to how I spoke to myself and it was not nice.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, what if I actually almost like a George Costanza opposite day? Like, what if I just did the opposite? Like,
Okay.
instead of like calling myself names or like, oh, you're an idiot, you're too old, you'll never amount to anything. Wah, wah. What if I just did the opposite? And I did. I was like, what if I actually started as a habit? Started saying nice things to myself. Of course you can do this. Yes, you can get a job. Yes, you can rebuild your life. Yes, you can have this dream of driving an RV across the country. Yes, you can become an author. Like, what if? And I literally thought to myself, I'm like, I'll make this my experiment. Like, it became exciting for me. Like, I'll
Yeah.
just be my own little guinea pig. And I don't know why, but something was exciting with that because I thought, well, if everything in my life had not worked out, what if
Yeah.
I just do the opposite? What if I just go for it? Because I mean, I was 45 at the time. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, the 50s are coming, like
Yeah.
halfway through, if I'm lucky enough to make it to 100, I'm like, I got to do something. Like, this can't be the way that I go. And considering my brother had just died, I was like, oh my God, life is so short. It is so
Yeah.
short. And my ex-husband died at the age of 26, mind you. So
Wow.
I knew life was short and I was tired of just wasting it. And I was tired of the drama and the trauma. And it really came down to a choice. It was just like, all right, girl, it's up to you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like each one of us, right? We all
Right.
have a choice in every single moment of what we're going to do,
Right.
right? It's like the Robert Frost quote, two paths diverge in a wood, and I took the road less traveled by, and that was me. I took the one that would literally lead back to me. But
Mm.
most people will go, I'm going to take the comfortable, easy route and just stay with what I'm doing. I'm going to stay unconscious. I'm just going to keep on sleepwalking through life. It's predictable. I know what to expect with all of these relationships, even if they're toxic or this crappy job I don't like. I know what to expect. But very few of us will go, you know what? I'm going to take this other route and it's going to be
Mm.
rough. And I have to bawl my eyes out some more on the bathroom floor. And I'm going to have to go through a lot of changes and I'm going to have to, leave a job. I'll have to change some of these relationships. But at the very end of it, you get back to your true self.
Yeah. And experiences that you never imagined you would have, right?
Uh-uh.
When you're
Uh-uh.
when you open yourself up to that change, that discovery, that vulnerability, the things that come into your path can be so exciting and so rewarding and so unique, right?
Yeah, and you have to open yourself up to that.
Yeah.
You're not just giving yourself permission to change.
Right.
Like, okay, what's coming? And literally anything positive or negative that comes along your path, go, okay, what's this here to teach me? What do I got to learn here now?
Yeah.
You almost kind of start to go through it more in slow motion.
Yeah.
And you just
Absolutely.
kind of, yeah, it's like watching a movie. It's like, oh, and then realizing you have control of that. I mean, we all hear like writing your own story, your own script, but
Yeah.
you truly do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Little by little, you start to feel better. And then you like, ooh, I want more of that feeling. And then you just keep going and doing one more thing and one more thing that will help you feel better.
Absolutely. It's breaking down that conditioning while you're
Yeah.
listening to, okay, I can do this, and those very powerful, positive, reinforcing words and statements
Mm.
that you begin to tell yourself to change the trajectory of your next steps of your life. Just a little sidebar here. I think I was 35 or 36, and I was married and have been married to this man for the last, I don't know, since we were 24. He's like, "You're the worst. You can never remember our anniversary." I'm like, I know. And we were getting transferred to Japan, Okinawa, Japan. And I was just like, okay, so I'm leaving all my networks. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing, and when we were there, I took a couple of trips to Kyoto and I actually walked Philosopher's Path, which was an amazing place to be, and starting connecting with myself, even during that transfer of 3 years on a small island,
Hmm.
being in somewhere completely different, not having my networks, challenging myself, opening myself up to new experiences. So, yes, we do these things. And when we are vulnerable and we do open ourselves up, our trajectory changes. So, let's talk about your book, Women Waking Up, which is more than a manifesto, it's a movement. What inspired it? And did your own transformation shape its message? Tell us more.
It was definitely born from my own breakdown that I mentioned before, and then the breakthrough. So after that pivotal moment, I started taking little steps, just one step every single day. And the one thing I did that was the greatest change for me was instead of worrying about the what and the when and the where and the how, which we all typically do,
Yes.
instead I focused on the who.
Mm,
And I was like, all right, girl, who do you want to be? Like, who
mm,
do you truly want to be as you step into this chapter? And instead of even focusing, I had that dream of driving an RV across the country. That was exciting, that vision, but it was the woman behind the steering wheel. That's what excited me. And I started envisioning like, what would she sound like? How does she walk into a room? How does she sleep at night? What does she eat? Who are her friends? Like, what's her energy like? I mean, I
mm.
literally was designing this new woman. That was the main focus. And really, everything else just started to fall into place because I was focusing on more of who I wanted to be in my life.
Right.
That was like the biggest step that I took. And over the course of 2 years, I ended up recovering from chronic illness. I slowly but surely chipped away at that mound of debt, saved up enough money to be able to buy the RV, created new friendships, got rid of some toxic ones, and completely changed my life. And then over the course of that 2 years, I realized like that became the blueprint. Like that became the 7 steps in the freedom framework of how I rebuilt my life. Everything from emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. And I can remember too, even when all of that was going on, I went to Barnes and Noble. I went to my section, which is the self-help section.
Right.
And I remember sitting there on the floor with my Starbucks, looking up at all the shelves. And I was like, I've read them all, and I love
Yeah.
them all, right? The Wayne Dyer and the Deepak and the Gabby Bernstein. All I was like, yes, they're so good. But there wasn't one book on that shelf that was specific for a woman in her 40s and 50s and
Yeah.
going through all the crap that we will sometimes have to go through. Most likely we'll have to go through. And I wrote the book that I needed. I mean, that was like, I needed my book 7 years ago. I
Yeah.
needed that. And I don't want another woman out there to feel stuck or lost or invisible or just even quietly dissatisfied with her life. And again, I was like the guinea pig. So I knew it worked.
Right.
And I thought, okay, if I could do it with where I was at in my life, anyone can do this. And I wanted to give them that guidebook, that playbook, so that they could do. I've actually had women that were in my course, right? That maybe their lives weren't even that much of a mess, but they just felt like there was just something missing.
Yeah.
And they just wanted maybe just to start a new hobby or to do something more exciting with their life.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to have like a total, breakdown or disaster.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that you're not alone, right? Like you and I
Right.
talked about earlier, you're not alone. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And to be a woman in this day and age, oh my God, it's awesome. The
It is
stuff that
awesome.
we can do. Oh
Yeah,
God.
it is awesome. And then there are so many societal changes going on right now that are influencing, how we are women at the same time. And
Mhm.
yet we have so many influences, yet we are still in charge of our own destiny.
Yes, totally
And
agree.
sometimes it takes a book like yours to be
Mm,
that guide, to be that
yeah.
inspiration. And you're right, there aren't a lot of those books on the shelves for those in our 40s and 50s and plus, right? And
Mhm.
so being a clinician, being somebody who's worked in the human services field for decades, I'm giving away my age now, decades, multiple decades.
Well, you look good, girl.
Oh, thanks. And and it doesn't matter what age we are or what year it is. As a woman, we go through similar things.
Yes.
So it's books like this that are written for those that might be in their 20s now, that might be in their 50s later, that are going to be
Mhm.
helpful because
Yeah.
no matter what, yes, we are different, but we
Yep.
have and experience so many things that are similar.
Yes.
And that's what's so important about your book, books like yours,
Mhm.
because it gives ideas, it inspires us, it helps us tap into that intuition, listen to that intuition. It's funny because my husband the other day, I said, I was coming out of a hotel and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and I was trying to get to the airport early and the garage was dark. And I told the lady at the front desk, I said, hey, can you walk me down to the garage? Because I
Mhm.
don't want to be there alone. And he was like, "Wow, why did you even think that? Why?" And I was like, "Because as a woman and knowing that it's a dark garage,
Yeah.
listening to that intuition." And that's just like a
Yes.
simple example, but listening to that inner voice, listening to that intuition, not just out of fear, but out of so many different areas of our lives, like spiritual, like health, wellness, all these
Mhm.
different things that you touch on in your book. Like, why aren't we doing more of that? Because my
Yes.
husband was kind of like surprised that I would do that. And I said, no, I had to listen to that inner voice and keep myself safe.
Yes, exactly. And I think we can hear our inner voice better and more clear when we declutter. And
Yes.
that's even a lot of what
Yes.
I did. Not just, yes, I sold everything. I did a lot of decluttering, but decluttering those toxic relationships, whether it's toxic foods or toxic thoughts. Oh my gosh, like
Yes.
everything is energy. Energy is everything. We're 99% energy. The chair you're sitting on, like the microphone, everything is energy. And we have to tap into that and knowing that that energy changes so much in ourselves and in our lives. So the less clutter that we have, we can hear that intuition. But if we're like constant going in our heads and every in our lives, then you don't have a chance to listen to what your spirit's trying to tell you. Like, okay, we don't need to be going down into the dark. Right? Like, we don't need to
Right.
get that right.
Right.
Whatever it is, or don't take that job, or do take that job, or
Right.
anything. So it's getting quiet. And I think that's one thing too. I was thinking about this the other day, especially, 40s and 50s when, the nest gets empty and things get quieter, at midlife.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's almost like when we were going through COVID, like things were quieter.
Right.
We were hearing ourselves more. We were observing more. We were aware of more things during that time because the world was
Right.
quieter. And so it's very similar. And sometimes it's hard to hear those things. The
Yeah.
truth can hurt sometimes, but that's where the beauty of the change is. I think
Yeah.
about, the butterfly and, what's inside the chrysalis. And if you were to cut the top off and just take the butterfly out, it would be deformed and it would die.
Yeah.
So the butterfly literally has to struggle to get out of that chrysalis so it can fly and be free. So don't be scared of struggle. It's okay to struggle because knowing that on the other side of that is your freedom, is to fly and just to be you and to be colorful. And so struggle's okay. I'm not as fearful of it anymore.
Yeah. And sometimes,
Yeah.
we stay in that comfort so we
Yeah.
don't have to go through that struggle. And it's a lot of that static or white noise or that noise in our head that we really need to quiet. And once we do, we can come more towards ourselves and what
Yep.
that means. And I think we're fearful because people think, what are people going to think of me?
Oh.
What are they going to think of Wendy or
Hmm.
Summer as she is raw
Yeah.
and as she is like a different person? And a lot of people you'll find will
Yeah.
back away
Yeah.
and will push away when they see that you start coming into your own because, again, it's kind of like a mirror for them like, oh, wow, they went
Yeah.
through that butterfly transformation.
Yep.
They went through that and went through those challenges and came out of it something unique and different and beautiful. And that scares some people.
Oh, for sure. It reminds me of something. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Yeah, I mean, I was like the best. People pleaser, codependent, approval seeker, you name it,
Mm,
I did them all. And the reason I did, and this is part of, the realizations, epiphanies I had during my dark night of the soul, that I was abandoned as a little girl. And so ever since that tragic moment that happened as a little girl, I became very fearful of being abandoned. And therefore, I became a people pleaser and a perfectionist because please don't leave me. I have to be perfect. Like, oh, okay, I don't want to upset anyone. And oh gosh, so I did this for decades, right? And it
yeah.
obviously was woven into all of my relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So one day, see, I was 50, sitting on a little picnic table in Malibu next to my RV, and I'm looking out at the sunset, and I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I became my greatest fear because even though I feared everyone else abandoning me, really what I was doing, I was abandoning myself. And I thought, I cannot do that to that little girl anymore. I had that little conversation with little Wendy that day, and I was like, girl, I got you. I am not going to abandon you anymore. And I think we all, in some ways, we do that, right? We're the ones that get in our own way. No, we'd love to blame everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I can't do this. And, oh, what will they think? Or what if they leave me if I actually go after my dreams, whatever, right? Like, we stand in our own way.
Yeah.
And that's self-abandonment right there.
Yeah.
And ever since that moment, I was like, oh, no, we are not doing this. Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And
And
that
it's just not
takes,
worth it, right? Like you
yeah.
think about like some of these things that we do to ourselves. It's like, oh, that's so silly.
Yeah. And yet they're so deep rooted. Like that pain
Yeah.
can be so rooted in us. And yet
Hmm.
that opportunity that we take for enlightenment and getting back to who we are and reclaiming that woman who is
Mm.
there, not that little girl anymore.
No, I know.
It's the woman. And you just have to comfort that little girl and say, everything's going to be okay. Come with me. Take my
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
Let's
Like, let's
walk
go have
forward.
some
Let's
fun.
go
Come
have
have,
some fun.
yes.
Exactly. So, which gets me to something you've created, the freedom framework to guide
Yeah.
women towards joy and purpose, which are the 7 steps that challenge you the most personally. So, tell us more about these 7 steps and this freedom framework.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny because like I read the book often because I have to. The reasons and so
Right?
I find myself going through it over and over and over
Yes.
again. So, step one is to free yourself of limiting beliefs and good old self-sabotage, like we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Step two is to reset your life by clearing emotional and the physical clutter, like we talked about too. Step three is envision a new future filled with vitality and confidence and joy. Step 4 is embrace and explore your potential, your passions, your purpose, which we all need to be reminded of that, and our powers, our superpowers.
Yeah.
Step 5 is detach from tomorrow and start living for today, like right here, right
Yeah.
now. Step 6 is I won't cuss on your show, but it's own your best self,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
bad bleep self, your own your bad bleep self.
Yeah.
With unshakable boundaries because I had never set boundaries before. I was like, what's a
Yeah.
boundary?
Right.
I always
Right.
thought of boundaries of like walls, and now
Right.
I'm so protective of my own boundaries. I'm like, oh no, don't you dare ruin my
Right.
joy.
Good for
Um,
you.
yeah.
Yay.
And then finally, master yourself is step 7, because
Mm.
obviously in life, we're going to have these inevitable ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, especially midlife, like our parents are aging. Some of us are having to take care of our
Hmm.
parents. You're always going to have crap that happens in life. You will.
Yeah.
But you'll get up quicker. You'll know
Yeah.
how to handle it because you'll be more awake. You'll be more conscious. You'll be more aware, and you'll be more protective of your peace and
Yeah.
and your happiness. Because I think once you take your heart and your soul and your mind to that level of joy, you can't go backwards. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that depression, anxiety, and panic attacks taught me. I was like, oh God, I'd never, ever, I do not want to go there. Nope.
Yeah.
So now, like, even if I get close to that feeling, I'm like, okay, all right, girl, let's go for a walk. Let's eat a little bit better. Let's go meditate. Let's go journal. Let's call my therapist.
Yes.
my, my poor
Yes.
therapist. I'm like, oh, here she is. Like,
No, and that's great. That's, just that you talk about that is so important because you need that support.
yes.
Even though we feel enlightened and inspired and we have changed habits and we've done all these wonderful things,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that we don't need that support, that healthy support system, right?
Yes.
And so we are
Yeah.
protective about who comes into our sphere
Yes.
because that healthy support system means so much.
Yeah.
It means so much. So
What works for one person may not work for another,
true.
right? And you have to
Absolutely.
just go all out. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's reading books, meditation, journaling, therapy, starting a new hobby just to relieve some stress, whatever it is, just do it all. And you'll get there. You will get there. I know that. I know that. I mean, you will, right? Like that
Oh no,
vision.
I'm laughing because you're so right about something being different for everyone, right? And
Yeah.
one of my really good friends, she's a journaler, and I buy her beautiful journals so she can journal. And I'm like, get that journal away from me. Like, I don't even want to write in that journal. Like, I do other things, but journaling is not one of them. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. You just,
Try different things and see
yeah.
what works for you. It's also about taking those steps, but making them habits too, so that you can sustain that health and wellness in your life, which is so important, and those boundaries.
Hmm.
And man, we have covered so much here from your book, Women Waking Up, to your freedom framework, to some of your story. I know we could have episode after episode because you've touched on so many things that even tapped into my own life. Like, oh my gosh, I could have just on one of those things, have many conversations. So,
Yeah.
as we come to the close of the interview, if you were to leave the people listening and feeling stuck or uncertain in midlife, what's one empowering step they can take today to begin waking up to their next chapter?
Hmm. Start small and start now. Like now. Like
Right
right now.
now.
Here's the thing. No matter how awakened or we're sleepwalking, it doesn't matter. Deep down, we know what we got to do. We do. We know what we need to do. Just pick one thing, one bold move that you can take every single day. And a bold move, I mean, when I look back, 7 years ago, the bold move was getting out of bed. Like that was my bold move. Okay, let's start here. Let's take a shower. Like whatever it was, right?
Yes.
Just pick one tiny step and then take another and take another. And I have found that when you take a step in one area of your life, that positive momentum and that energy overflows into other areas of your life. And you'll get unstuck. You'll find the clarity. Some people ask me, well, Wendy, how do you get that much courage? You create the courage. I can't hand you a jar of courage. You have to fill up that jar of courage yourself, and you do it by taking steps, as tiny steps as they may be.
Well, thank you, Wendy, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
Thank you. You're awesome.
You can connect with Wendy Valentine on Instagram, TikTok, on Pinterest at Wendy_Valentine, on Facebook at Wendy.Kuhn.16, and you can find her book on Amazon.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.